It's safe to say that this has been a very hard month. Uh-oh, we're leaning. Okay. When I first started talking about getting my first dairy cow, everyone told me it was going to be the hardest thing I'd ever done. Dairy farmers never get to go on vacation. That consistency of daily milking was going to be really hard. But 4 years and 9 dairy cows later, I cannot believe that no one is talking about what's actually been the hardest part of having a family cow. This may sound super obvious to some, but dairy cows actually have to have a baby in order to produce milk. And in order for her to have a baby, she's got to get pregnant. And getting a cow pregnant is way harder than you might think. My favorite dairy cow, Reba McIntyre, just had a brand new baby, which means that milking season for her has just begun. So I'm gonna run out to the field, find her and her calf, and encourage them both to come back to the milking stanchion. So here they are. This is Reba McIntyre and her brand new baby calf. This is her 4th calf, a bull, unfortunately. And this little guy is now the 3rd bull that we've had this summer. Maybe and Maybelline over there have their little calves with them. I'll show you when we walk past. If you look closely, you'll notice that both of them are breathing kind of heavy and have a ton of flies around. It's peak summer, real sweaty time as well, and peak fly season, not an ideal time to have baby calves on the ground, but the very fact that we're having calves right now is actually what this whole video is about, a breeding debacle. Come on, Reba, let's get you back to the milking stench and get you milked, huh? I named Reba's baby Sammy. He's joining his buddies Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. I'm just gonna wait here and let her catch up. It is not the plan to have calves being born here in Tennessee in peak fly and heat season. In ideal circumstances, we would have our calves born in February or March. That would allow for the later half of the cow's gestation period to be done during cool weather, when they're eating hay, when they can be in the comfort of the barn. And then when their babies are actually born, there's plenty of fresh grass. It's the start of hay season and everything, so there's plenty of calories to be able to help her keep up her body condition. The flies haven't started up yet. So the babies and the mamas get kind of like 3 months of head start in life together before things start getting, well, I think a lot of Southerners call summer here hell's front porch. So if February, March babies are the ideal, why is it actually so hard to get to that ideal? Their gestation period is 272 to 282 days, so why can't we just reverse the clock and then breed them accordingly? Therein lies the plight of the small farmer. Most commercial dairies use a process called artificial insemination, which is exactly what it sounds like. Semen is collected from a bull. There's actually lots of cool options you can do, like you can get special genetics to make your herd better over time. You can do heifer selected genetics, and having had, let's see, 3 bull calves born this summer and 3 previous heifer genetics would be really, really awesome, because then we could guarantee that instead of having to raise our boys as steer for beef, we could actually raise more dairy cows. So what most commercial dairies do is they bring in a artificial insemination specialist. They do what's called a seeder, which is a chemically induced heat synchronization process on all of their cows. So all of their cows go into heat all at the exact same time. And then the AI tech comes and inseminates all the cows at once. But because artificial insemination is only 60 to 70% accurate at best, most commercial dairies also have the infrastructure set up to have what's called a cleanup bull come in after AI. If artificial insemination was more accurate, more accessible, more affordable, there would be no reason for us not to do it on our farm too. In fact, we do it. My 1 female calf that I've had from my dairy cows was in fact from artificial insemination. But wow, Duke, you're really bringing the flies with you, bro. The very fact that we were able to get a successful semen heifer birth out of one of our cows last year was because we at that time had access to a huge leg up that most small scale homesteaders or people with 1 or 2 dairy cows just don't have access to. And that's that our friend was an AI tech. So he was willing to just pop by after work, we'd toss him some money and he would give it a shot, and miraculously it worked. However, that's 1 calf in 4 years of multiple attempts. And unfortunately, our buddy moved. So now our option is back to the same options as most small-scale homesteaders have, which is called a vet. Vets doing AI generally costs $300 to $450 a shot. For 60% accuracy, that seems ridiculous to me. Because even if we do get a calf, we've already spent $450 on her before she's even been born. But if we actually had to do it 3 or 4 times like many people do, we would have already spent more than it would cost to buy an adult cow about to have a baby or already in milk, and we would still have 2 years of raising that calf, 2 years of expenses, vet bills, whatever else, like feed, everything, our time, effort, before we had even gotten a chance to prove whether or not she was even a good dairy cow. So this year, knowing that we weren't going to have access to our same AI tech, knowing that we weren't going to have multiple attempts, we decided to pay another AI tech, try to get everyone in one fell swoop. We did the cedar shot and everything. Then, knowing that it probably wouldn't take, we decided to get a cleanup bull. We had an American Milking Devon bull come to the farm to do cleanup just in case the AI took, and shock of all shocks, the AI didn't take, and we had to rely on the bull. However, the bull wasn't able to get delivered until early fall, which then meant that we were going to be expecting summer calves. And as you can see, we got the calves, that's great. But what we also got was pregnant mamas in the height of the hottest part of the summer. So I was constantly worried about heat stroke. Then the calves were born, and now as you can see, there's flies everywhere. And poor little Dean over there ended up getting what's called summer pneumonia because it was so hot when he was born that he was breathing so heavily to try to cool himself down, he literally breathed his lungs into dysfunction, which is exactly why we want to have early spring calves. Now, there's things that we can do about the flies. There's organic sprays. We use the fly tape by the waterers and the feeds and everything. Redmond Minerals has this awesome salt lick that has garlic in it, and when the cows lick it, they get garlic inside their system, which makes the flies not love the cows as much. But as you can see, even with all of those things, the flies are still pretty dang bad. There's also the fact that all of my cows are now in milk during not the best time of the year for grass, which means that their milk production is also going to suffer. But this sounds like a lot of whining and complaining when really I am very, very thankful to have 3 healthy calves now that we've gotten Dean all taken care of. Now that it is starting to get a little bit cooler, the heat wave that we had this, the last couple months is starting to be less. But now we also have another thing to contend with, and that's the fact that I stabbed myself in the hand while making nachos at midnight with a carving knife in my office. And so dairy farming just got a whole lot harder. This is Duke, by the way. Duke is a steer, which means that we've castrated him, we've removed his ability to procreate, which is also important, because I would never, ever in a million years be sitting this close to an intact bull. I don't have a death wish. A lot of small-scale dairy farmers that care more about having a steady supply of milk than necessarily what genetics their calves may or may not have will do what we've done, which is rent a bull for a little while. But even that is not quite as simple as you might think. First of all, even finding a bull that we could rent for 2 months was an issue. Housing the bull was an issue, transporting the bull was an issue, and even though beef bulls tend to be a lot less dangerous than Jersey bulls, it's still a 2,200 pound animal that is going to do whatever it takes to get to a female that is in heat. The other huge problem that I didn't think about prior to Mike Bison being here was that even though I have hard fencing, that Mike Bison was supposedly really well behaved, he broke some fences, and far worse than him breaking some fences was that I had a young heifer, Ella, who was not yet physically ready to breed on the property with Mike Bison. I was housing them on completely separate areas of the farm. There was electric wire and physical hard fencing in between them, and still Mike Bison was able to smell that she was in heat. He broke through a fence and bred her, which was terrifying for so many reasons because, I mean, he was literally 3 times her size. He could have killed her literally by crushing her, but also an early pregnancy like that would have been extremely dangerous to her health. So we ended up having to give her a luteolise injection, which is basically an abortion shot to make sure that she didn't get pregnant, which then also affected her heat cycles moving forward, and ultimately her first artificial insemination attempt this year, though we timed it absolutely perfectly and everything went according to plan, didn't take. And I can't help but wonder now if Mike Bison's break-in had anything to do with that failed AI attempt. Oh, here comes Reba, so we can finally finish making our way down to the milking stanchion. One thing I've always appreciated about Reba is that she is by far my tamest cow. So on occasions where I can't necessarily encourage her to go back to the milking stanchion, sometimes I can convince her to let me just milk her in the field. So since her baby is all the way back here, maybe I can just, get what I need to get done right here. Let's try. She prefers usually for me to be on this side. Okay. Nah, this soon after birth. Cows have a lot of hormones raging, and basically all of them, as they should be, are aimed at taking care of their babies. So I always want to give my dairy cows a few hours to recover after giving birth, but basically within a few hours of that calf hitting the ground, I want to get the mama cow back to the milking stanchion. Yes, so we can, start the milking routine again and everything. It's going to be a little harder at first because the hormones are raging and she's out of habit and all that stuff. But we also want to collect some of the colostrum, or the first milk that the mom produces, so we can have that in the freezer on hand just in case we ever have a problem, like a mom dies in labor, or the reason our neighbor called me when Duke's mom rejected him was because he hadn't gotten colostrum yet and he knew that we had plenty in the freezer. So, we went and got him, and that colostrum ultimately saved Duke's life. Come on. I know. Your baby's a slow walker, huh? Come on, Eva. But even beyond saving the colostrum, we also want to think about the fact that our dairy cows have been bred for dairy production. They produce far more milk than their calves could actually drink, which then, if it is not milked off pretty close to right after birth, and then continuously milked off from then forward, you are going to have huge issues with, potential mastitis, which is an infection that will not just endanger future milk production, affect current milk production. It can also metastasize into a life-threatening condition that could cost the cow its life. So though I know she's not super into it, I know her hormones are raging, and it's not ideal to do this in a sling or by myself, it's just something that has got to be done. It's safe to say that this has been a very hard month. Don't tip that over, buddy. Okay, we got it, we're good. Uh-oh. Come on. I just need you to get your foot out of the bucket. There we go, let's get the foot out. Let's get the foot out of the bucket. We'll lean in there. Okay. There you go, bud. No problem, we got it. I'm not gonna cry about this spilled milk either. I know. Hey, I know the hormones are raging. Things aren't good right now, but we gotta get you cleared out. Okay, good girl. It's taken me 4 years to get to the point where I even felt this comfortable with cows, and I feel like I've barely even scratched the surface. But that, like many other things I've endeavored to pursue over the last 12 years of doing all this, has been collected on my Squarespace website, annofalltrades.com. I am not a super tech-savvy person, and so even the thought that I've had a blog for almost 12 years chronicling my journey from total city slicker who planted a garden because most of our food was coming from the food bank to right now where I live on a self-sustaining farm, well, you gotta be ready for moments like that. It's been a dream, let me just tell you. The very fact that I've been able to chronicle this whole journey is thanks in huge part to Squarespace and how easy it is to use their platform. They provide me with a beautiful artist design template that I can easily drag and drop whatever I want to share with the world into, and then it shares it with the world. Squarespace also makes it super easy for me to have an online store where I sell my online courses, my physical products like t-shirts and other merchandise. And there's a handy dandy calendar scheduling app that helps book my public speaking gigs, like when I'm speaking at homesteaders conferences. So if you're looking to start a website of your own, check out Squarespace as a resource, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/AnnabelleTrades for a 10% discount. If you are interested in cow adventures like these and you want to see how I built this milking stanchion to trap and milk my completely feral beef cow, check out this video. I will see you there. Cheers!